An agonising loss in the Battle of the South for the Bears as Skolars edged us out of the last play of the game. We've got the reaction, we've got news of some fixture changes, and a special surprise bit of news too. This is the world's greatest podcast about the Coventry Bears. This is Bears Necessities. Yes, welcome to Bears Necessities, your favourite podcast about the Coventry Bears. We live at covbearspodcast.com. We're at covbearspodcast on Twitter. You can listen to our show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those usual places. And we are sponsored by York's Tim. I'm one of your hosts, Dave, and joining me as always, my co-host, Craig Cathcart. Craig, how are you doing? It's nice to be doing this again.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be talking about rugby league again. You've been a busy guy over the last couple of weeks, so we'll excuse the delay in this episode.
Yes.
And I wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate you.
Thank you, yeah. And if you're wondering what Craig is congratulating me for, dear listener, it has been a while since our last show, and that is mainly because I became a dad a few days before the Skolars match. I've basically been on paternity leave since then and haven't really been doing much, so that's why it's taken us a couple of weeks to look back on the Skolars game, which is what we're going to do in this episode. We'll reflect on that defeat, we'll chat about some changes to dates and locations of upcoming Bears games, and I've got a special surprise for you all at the end, including Craig. I haven't even told him about this, but thank you for the congratulations, Craig. I don't know if he still counts as the Bears' youngest fan, but he's certainly one of the Bears' youngest fan. He's got a teddy bear with a Bears jumper knitted by my mum on already. So I'm sure it won't be long before he's coming down to the Butts for a game.
Yeah, I think he still is the Bears' youngest fan. I'll let you off not attending the Skolars game as well.
Thanks.
So a couple of days beforehand, but yeah. You are normally very dedicated.
Yes, I'd like to think I've built up a bit of goodwill over the last couple of years. So before we really get started, I did want to give a quick mention. It was a bit of news that came out in between this episode and our last one. People listening have probably seen it, but it's worth a mention. Just that the owner of this podcast's favourite haircut, Dante Morley-Samuels, has signed for North Wales Crusaders. It's obviously a shame the Bears couldn't keep him. He was Young Player of the Year last year, gave great service to the club, and I know it just hasn't worked out with him not being Midlands based this year. The travelling was just proving a lot, and it's a much more logical option for Dante to go to North Wales. So, no hard feelings from this end, are there, Craig? I think best of luck to Craig and just to Dante, and just like I say, just a shame we couldn't keep hold of him.
No, he was a really good lad, really good player. I think his, as you said, his circumstances changed. So he was no longer living in the Coventry area. He was travelling down. He lives up near where North Wales train. I think North Wales Training Witness. So it's quite close for him to get there. No hard feelings at all. It's just a shame because I think he had real potential. I think he would have gone on to bigger and better things at the Bears. But yeah, it's one of those things. Players move on, and good luck to him.
Yes, and it does mean we are now on the lookout for a new favourite haircut. So any Bears players listening who want to step up to the plate, then please do. So let's crack on with the Skolars match, the Battle of the South, which took place on Good Friday, and the Bears sadly lost 28-30, with London winning it with the final play of the game and a conversion that went in off the post just to rub it in. We will chat briefly about that game in a moment, but first, let's hear the post-match thoughts of Bears head coach Tom Tsang.
So Tom, thanks for speaking to me. A bit of a devastating loss today, losing right at the death, especially when the Bears fought back 10 minutes to go, fought back from 12 points down to go into the lead. Really hard one to take.
Yeah, it's difficult because obviously, like you said, we've fought back, worked really, really hard, and managed to drag ourselves back into the game twice. And we were confident that fitness-wise we'd be able to get them back end of each half, and that's how it proved. Except for obviously we just switched off that literally last set of the game, and they go in and score. But it's one of them where we've created chance after chance after chance, and we've probably found it in some ways a bit too easy to create opportunities, and we've forced the pass when we just needed to hold on to it and play on the next play, and we would have scored. Well, we had 3 tries disallowed, and we probably had another 3 or 4 that could have been if we'd have just executed better. So we feel pretty down about our own performance in that game, not to get the win, because we felt that we were obviously within a chance of getting it, because we created so many opportunities. But it's the way it works out sometimes. Like Skolars, obviously they've managed to repel us. They've managed to force us into those positions where we've not chosen the right option. So they've obviously done something right in some of those last gasp goal line defensive efforts. And obviously they've executed their try right at the end to win it. So they obviously deserve the 2 points. And I always say to the boys, and I said it again today, it's not necessarily what happens, how you lose, it's how you bounce back from it. And we've got a good group who are very determined, regardless of what happens, to pick themselves up as quickly as they can and go forward with improvement. So that's what we'll look to do. But it's a tough one to take.
Yeah, you mentioned 3 tries disallowed in the first half. I mean, from my point of view, the Bears were on top for most of the first half. After 2 early tries from Skolars, it was pretty much Bears one-way traffic, really, in the first half. So have you any opinion on any of the 3 disallowed?
Well, first of all, yeah, I agree that we were dominant in that first half. We dropped the first 2 sets, dropped the ball the first 2 sets that came to us, and we weren't good enough defensively to repel them. But then for the next half an hour, we were camped on their line pretty much. And the 3 disallowed tries. The first one was given as a double movement. Obviously, it's difficult to tell from the touchline, but I don't see how it could have been the way that he went forward over the line. It must have been, from my point of view, momentum that took him over, but that's the way it's been given. The second one was a funny one, because there's a bit of a kick and a ricochet, and then our players picked it up and gone over. Touch judges called it from a fair distance away to say that he's offside, but I'll have to watch that one back because I'm not too sure. And then the last one, again, there's a bit of a question mark on it, because he said that there's some obstruction there, which no one else could see, really. So tough to take, but like I said, we created enough opportunities aside from that to score plenty of points today, and we can only look at ourselves for the reason why we didn't execute. So that's what we'll do. We won't really dwell on those refereeing decisions too much, because we did enough otherwise to win it.
And from the touchline, it has to be said there was two really good spells of fight back from the Bears at the end of the first half. There was great fight back to level the game, going level at half time, and then as I said, 10 minutes to go, it was 24-12 to Skolars. Bears came back 3 tries in that 10-minute period. So a lot of spirit shown today, wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, first of all, it shows the character of the team, and the togetherness and the team spirit, that they're able to rally around each other and pick themselves up going behind. And when it went 24-12 with about 15 minutes to go, we could have thrown the towel in at that point quite easily. And I think that shows some growth and some development for the team from previous matches where we have gone sort of a couple of tries behind and things are going against us, and decisions are not going our way. And that 12 points or 2 tries has turned into 3 tries, 4 tries, 5 tries quite quickly, and that could have happened today, but we stopped it and we got back into the game and obviously took the lead, but just switched off in the last 60 seconds of the game. So there's lots of positives to take, and it's difficult to see them right now. But that's another thing that we sort of hold ourselves to, is that when you win games, it sometimes masks the things that you didn't do well. But when you lose games, it also masks what you do right. So you've got to try and do the difficult thing, which is look at the opposite to what happened. So we'll be making sure that we're looking at the positives as well.
And there was a lot of good performances on the pitch today. Did anyone stand out for you?
Yeah, so we moved Chris Barrett into the middle at loose forward, and I thought he was an absolute standout. Just the amount of carries he took in, on top of the amount of defensive work he did for probably 70 minutes of the game, was outstanding. He asked for that move into the middle because he wanted to be a bit more influential as a captain and wanted to do more work, and he really put his hand up and did that. Picked up a little bit of a shoulder injury at the end. That's why he came off and sort of paid the price for him for putting so much work and effort into his performance. But I thought he was brilliant, and we'll probably look to stick with him there if we can do. I also thought that Jacob Jones and Kieran Sherratt, the other two back row players, were really good for us, and obviously Nick and Nathan and Elliot in those spine positions, fullback, halfback, and hooker. Really controlled things for us and were a big part of the opportunities that we created. Obviously, unfortunately, we just couldn't quite get them in the end.
And I think it was devastating for the fans at the end, but the players, I have to say, they must take a bit of heart from the fact that the fans cheered them off at the end, despite the results, because everyone appreciated the effort of the players and could see that they left everything on the pitch. So, that. It's one of those days, isn't it? It's disappointing, but it's one of those days, disappointing. But the players must have appreciated what the fans give today as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that was a big part of how we managed to pick ourselves up and come back into the game 2 or 3 times, was because we had a really vocal local crowd cheering us on, and we've just been desperate and itching to get back playing in front of our home crowd, and it's unfortunate we've lost. Because we were unbeaten here this season up until this point, but we'll take a lot of credit and pride in wanting to perform like that again in front of the crowd. So.
Thanks again, Tom. I know it's difficult to have these interviews when you get results like that. We really do appreciate you speaking to us, so thanks again, mate.
No problem, Craig. Thanks.
So thanks to Tom for joining us after the Battle of the South. So Craig, you were at the game. I was sat on a hospital maternity ward waiting to be allowed to go home. We don't need to spend loads of time on this because the game was 2 weeks ago. People have kind of probably digested the story of it, but just give me a sense, because following on from Twitter and speaking to a couple of people afterwards, it sounded like a really agonising one for the Bears, that one, and for the Bears to fight back a couple of times and then to lose it with the last play of the game. It sounds a pretty tough one to take.
I've watched the Bears for a number of years. There's been a few games that have been very hard to take where I've been absolutely gutted afterwards, but this, I think, genuinely was one of the worst. And it was the nature of how it happened. Bears on the whole played really well. Skolars look a decent side. They played well, particularly at the start of the first half and start of the second half. They were excellent. The game looked like gone, to be honest. 65 odd minutes gone. Skolars went 12 points up and were pretty much in control of the game. And, as I said, at that point, the Skolars had been the better team in the second half. Bears hadn't really looked like they were going to get in the game. And all of a sudden, they came to life. Scored 2, made it level. 2 very good tries, particularly Elliot Hall's second try, where he sort of scooted from dummy half and sidestepped a couple of people and got over the line. And then not only that, they scored, it was an absolutely phenomenal try to go into the lead. I thought at the time it was Nathan Conroy did the grubber kick, but it was actually Jacob Jones showing that he's got more strings to his bow. He hit a beautiful little grubber kick through and Hayden Freeman pounced on it. Nick Newman actually didn't miss the conversion by much at all. It was quite close. It was pretty devastating because at that point it was the last minute of the game. Bears got the ball back off the kickoff, played a really good set, no problems there, holding on to the ball. And I think Nick went for the corner with his kick, which is the right thing to do, but the bounce of the ball didn't get the bounce of the ball into a Skolars player's hand, and they ended up going the length of the field, which again, it didn't look completely lost because they scored it in the corner, and then to see the kick go in off the post, and not only just go in off the post, it kind of hit the post and then dropped down. So it literally, if it'd gone 2 centimetres the other way, it would have bounced out. So yeah, absolutely devastated. Everyone at the club was gutted afterwards. The players in particular were pretty gutted, but they're a pretty resilient bunch. Tom, as he always is, was calm about the thing afterwards. Obviously, he was incredibly disappointed, but he's a guy that reflects on perform. Doesn't necessarily read too much into results. Reflects on the overall performance, and there was some good performances from the Bears. As I said, Skolars are an excellent team. Last weekend they went up to Hunslet, who were top of the league, and give them a bit of a hammering. Actually,
they did. Yeah,
scored 42 points against them and won comfortably in the end. So Skolars are actually 2 points off the top now. So we do know that they're a very good team. I guess that in a way made it a bit more, it impacted a bit more, because actually it would have been a very good win for the Bears to get that. There's really nothing much between the two teams, and a Bears win would have put them in good stead for climbing up the league, because if you look at the league table now, there's literally nothing between, say, first and eighth in terms of a couple of wins, and you would go from eighth up to second or third easily. So
very fine margins in the league table. And I guess the only other thing I wanted to reference, and not to dwell on it for too long, from the Skolars game, but 3 disallowed tries for the Bears. And I know you got Tom's views on them in the post-match conversation. What did you make of them?
I have to say, so the first one I think was a forward pass, probably was forward. The second one was supposedly a double movement, and obviously I was in the stand. I was quite far from the action, but in no way did it look like a double movement. You are allowed to land on the ground close to the line and stretch out and place the ball over the line. You're allowed to do that. There is no way that I think it was Nick Newman who got it. There's no way that he got tackled, stopped, and then reached out to place it over the line. He did it all in one movement, absolutely. The second one, I still don't understand how it was given offside. That's what I think was the call. The ball was kicked through. Kadeem Williams was definitely behind the kicker. It ricocheted off a couple of people, and Kadeem picked it up and ran over the line. At the time, again, watching it, no one in the ground could understand why the try had not been given. I've watched both back on video, and certainly those two scores were tries. There's absolutely no doubt in it. I wouldn't place all the blame on the referee, because I think the touch judges had something to do with the decision making on both of them. But yeah, certainly if you watch the video, there's very little suggestion that either should have been disallowed. I think that's obviously very disappointing, but there's nothing we can do about it now. I'm assuming the Bears would have submitted their post-match views on the referee's performance after the game. All in all, actually, he probably refereed the game quite well, but to make 2 big fundamental errors like that is quite bad.
Yeah, real shame, but hey-ho, these things happen, and we keep our fingers crossed that they balance out over the course of the season. So let's leave the Skolars game now, and let's talk about some changes to upcoming Bears fixtures. Now, due to some work at the Butts Park Arena to lay a new pitch this summer, the next 3 Bears home games are actually moving to the excellent Broad Street Rugby Club in Binley. So a new venue for us to try out, and there is a pair of games, a home and away set of fixtures that have been swapped around, which does mean a bit of a rejigging to the fixture list. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to read the full announcement, which you can find on the Bears website, which has all of the details on. Important changes to Coventry Bears fixture schedule. So due to work taking place at Butts Park Arena, which is talked about, so the club have had to seek immediate alternative arrangements for some upcoming home games. So here's the key details. So the home game against Workington Town, which of course was meant to be a few weeks ago and had to be rearranged because of the Challenge Cup game that Workington were in being postponed and all of that. That is taking place at Broad Street Rugby Club on Saturday the 11th of May, 3 p.m. kickoff. Then the home game against North Wales Crusaders, potentially a return for Dante Morley-Samuels and Ben Stead, of course. That one's also at Broad Street Rugby Club on Sunday, the 26th of May at 3 p.m. kickoff. Then we were supposed to be playing Whitehaven at home, but that has now been reversed. So we're now playing Whitehaven at home on the 8th of September, and that'll be at the Butts Park Arena. Then the final game at Broad Street is the home game against Doncaster. That's going to be on Saturday the 29th of June, and that's been brought forward to a 3 p.m. kickoff. And then the Bears will return to the Butts Park Arena from the 14th of July for the rest of the season. So that means Hunslet at home, Sunday the 14th of July, 3 p.m. Keighley at home, Sunday the 4th of August, 3 p.m. Oldham at home, Sunday the 1st of September, 3 p.m, all at the Butts. And then with the Whitehaven games being switched, we now finish the season at home on Sunday the 8th of September, 3 p.m. kickoff again at the Butts Park Arena. And the Bears have they just added a brief statement. We hope supporters will understand that these changes have been beyond our control and we've had to react at a very short notice. We've done the very best we can to accommodate these games at a suitable local venue, which has been approved by the Rugby Football League. And these changes are all now official. Entry to the games price is all still the same as it would be at the Butts, and Broad Street's address is 105 Rugby Road, Binley Woods, Coventry, CV3 2AY, and all of those details are on the Bears website. So Craig, I mean, this is, as the statement says, very much out of the Bears' control, and we could quite easily spend the next 5 minutes getting upset about it and getting annoyed that it, at short notice. But let's look at the positives instead. A new ground in Coventry to go and watch the Bears play at. It's a very well respected ground. It's hosted, I know, international sort of age group rugby union matches and things like that. It's a good facility, and we now get to end the season at home, so we get a double header of home games for the last 2 games of the season. So a bit of a hassle changing it around, but there's definitely positives there, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, first, as you say, let's not dwell too much on the negatives. I think the stuff with the pitch. I think anyone that's been to watch the Bears over the last couple of seasons will understand that the pitch definitely needs some work. It's got bits of sand all over it, pretty much. There had been rumours that there was going to be some work done either last summer or this summer. So, but I think it's pretty unexpected the length of time it's going to take. So I'm assuming that Coventry Rugby's plans have changed somewhat, and they've, instead of just doing some minor works on the pitch, it's going to be a bit more fundamental than that. But that's just my speculation. I don't know any details on that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, as you said, I'm actually quite looking forward to going to Broad Street. I know it's an excellent venue, good parking, very easy to get to for people travelling by car. For away fans, it's going to be an excellent venue to get to. Much easier than coming into Coventry City Centre. It's the facilities there are excellent. Wasps rugby train there. Their mm-hmm. reserves play there. As you said, there's been several sort of under 20 internationals and things like that played there. There's also been rugby league played there before. The Bears have played there on occasion. There was a rugby league conference final held there, I think about 10 mm-hmm. years ago, something like that. I think South London Storm won that there. So it's, considering that this was at short notice and the Bears have had to find a suitable venue, you could not find anywhere better than Broad Street to watch the game at. I think the important thing is that the Bears have stayed in Coventry, that it's in an easily accessible ground for existing fans and away fans to get to. And as I said, the facilities are excellent. Another thing as well is the pitch there is absolutely brilliant. So it's going to encourage open attacking rugby, and I'm pretty sure it'll be a great place to watch the Bears. Everyone as well is going to be able to get close to the pitch and close to the action. Let's hope it doesn't rain, though. I think their main stand is quite small and neat, but it's a really good ground there. As I said, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, likewise. I'm looking forward to going somewhere new, and I think the added bonus of getting those last 2 games of the season at home, back to back. That's fun as well. We always like to end. The Bears always seem to end the season well with a home game, so positive stuff there. So yeah, I think all in all a little bit of adventure for this season. Obviously a little bit of an inconvenience, but I think the Bears have done brilliantly, as you say. I don't think there's anywhere better in Coventry they could have gone to. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff ahead. The next 3 games at Broad Street, so something a bit different for all of the Bears fans. So all the details of that, as I mentioned, literally what I read out is on the Coventry Bears website, coventrybears.com, and it's on their social media channels as well. But all you basically need to know, next 3 home games, Broad Street instead of Butts Park Arena, and then we're back at the Butts for the rest of the season. So we're just about done for this podcast, but before we go, at the start, I promised a bit of surprise news, and I haven't even told Craig about this properly yet. So listeners, I hope you're ready, and Craig, are you ready? And you'll probably guess it as soon as I tell you. But you remember, Craig, that I was telling you sort of during last season that I was dabbling with the idea of writing a book about the Bears' 20th anniversary season. So I've actually done it. It's finished, and the more exciting news is that BBC Rugby League correspondent Dave Woods has agreed to contribute a foreword for it. And the way the book is going to work is that I've got full details to come, hopefully by the time we next record, or maybe the one after that. But essentially, probably going to run it as a pre-order thing. I'm self-publishing it, and all of the profits for the book are going to be split between the Bears and Rugby League Cares, the charity, and the charity are on board on that. So yeah, there is a book that I have written about last season. It's part season diary and part interviews with some of the people that are involved with the club who have appeared on this podcast. And it's not too bad, if I say so myself. So yeah, that's.
I've seen some excerpts from it, and yeah, it's going to be a really interesting read. And well done to you, because a lot of people start writing books and have this great idea that they're going to do it, and don't actually see it through. And as I said, the bits that I've seen, I know that it's going to be a really interesting read.
Good, thanks. So the plan is to do a bit of a pre-order campaign, because obviously with self-publishing, I don't want to go and buy a load of books and then have loads left over. So more details to come, and we'll come up with the proper campaign. But just wanted to, given that I'm at the point now where I'm definitely telling people it's happening and it's definitely going to move. So potentially, I think maybe what we'll try and do is sort of do a launch of the book at one of the Bears home games this season, so one of the ones in a few weeks. But yeah, listeners, please keep an eye out for the book. You'll be able to pre-order it soon, and you can know that all of the profits will be helping the Bears and Rugby League Cares, so making a difference on the pitch and making a difference to a really worthwhile charity within the game as well. So that was it. A nice bit of exciting news to finish with, really.
That's excellent. It really is excellent. I'm looking forward to reading it. It's a really good season to do it on as well, because with it being the 20th anniversary, I know that's probably why you chose to do it last year. Some real good highlights and some good games to talk about as well. So
yes, lots of fun stuff. When I was editing it was quite nice going back and reliving all of those highs of last season. So yeah, hopefully people out there will like it too. But that is just about it for this week's show. Don't forget, we live at covbearspodcast.com. We're at covbearspodcast on Twitter, and we are sponsored by York's Tim. And of course, come join us as we go and watch the Bears at Broad Street on Saturday the 11th of May to see the Bears take on Workington Town. Craig, thank you as always, and I will see you soon at Broad Street.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers.